And we are live, fashionably late because this is Spain and it's the summer. So I guess that um,
And we're not technical geniuses.
these things happen
I have to say,
sometimes.
this was beyond our control. This was something out of our control, the technical difficulties.
I mean,
Yeah.
we definitely tried. We definitely tried. We had audio issues. We had login issues. It's the summer. It's hot outside. I think that we are excused because these things happen. I just need a tinto de verano in my hand right now, and I'd be very happy.
Me
But
too. Me too.
we are here. Again, 25 minutes late, but we made it. Better late than never. So, Ian, do you want to do the honors and make introductions?
Sure. Welcome everyone to the Bubbles Substack Live. I'm Ian Mount. This is to my right is Adrian Bono, and to my left is Marti Buckley, who from Spain Explained, another famous Spain-based Substack. She's an award-winning American food writer, journalist, podcast host, and author of several books. Originally from Alabama, but now in San Sebastian, aka the
I
Hostia.
want to hear this story. I want to hear the story behind that.
Yes. And since 2010, so I really want to hear this story from Alabama. I don't know if there were places in between Alabama and San Sebastian, but we'll get into that in a second. But welcome to our welcome to the Bubble Substack Live, and we'd love to hear more about your journeys. Just to start with, how you fell in love with Basque food and ended up in Basque country.
Yeah, thanks. It's nice to be here. No, I always just say that I just was very lucky because it was sort of against my will. I ended up doing a study abroad in college, and I thought I wanted to go to Madrid, but fortunately, I was placed in Pamplona, and that was sort of my introduction to the rest of Spain, or what Spain is beyond the capitals, and I just fell in love immediately. I was just immediately obsessed, and so that was just 6 months. I went back, finished my degree, started a family, started working in the food industry. And so being obsessed with Spain and northern Spain and being in the food industry, you're automatically drawn towards San Sebastian. So when I figured out a way to come to Spain for 1 year, I had my sights set on San Sebastian, and that was 2010. And 1 year turned into another and another and another. And all the things that I've done have sort of
Yeah.
come out of that. So
Excellent. And when did you begin your the Spain Dispatch, your Substack and the podcast, the Spain Explained? How long has that been
yeah,
around?
well, I mean, I always am doing a lot of stuff. So I've had I guess it all started with a blog in 2007. And then when I moved to Spain in 2010, I was like, I want to be the person that I was desperate to find when I was in America, like really weird and obsessed with Spain. And so I would just blog about living in Spain and just random stuff, mostly food related. And yeah, I've always had kind of an off and on newsletter as a result of that. I moved over to Substack not too long ago. And then I started the podcast, which was something I've been wanting to do for a while. I started that at the beginning of this year in January. And that was like a long time dream of mine that I was just like, okay, it's never going to be the perfect time. I'm just going to do it as I
Right.
could do it and just go.
Absolutely. We know all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be honest, Marty. I have the palate of a 5-year-old. My friends are always making jokes that when everyone is having fancy dinners, people want to cook me like chicken nuggets because that's what I like, right? And fries. But I do. I am very interested in understanding Spanish food a bit more. And I'm Spanish, and I feel like I have barely scratched the surface because this is such a rich country when it comes to food variety. It depends on where you go. If you go to Galicia, it's a very different food from when you go to Murcia, right?
Right.
What would you say is, knowing what you know, and you certainly know a lot more than I do, what would you say is the best food in Spain? Which region has the best food? And I understand that it's not an
I'd
easy.
prepare for fighty emails coming in after this.
Yeah, I am not going to answer that. But I do think if you talk about Spanish food as a whole, it's sort of like talking about Spain as a country. Like in theory, it exists, but it doesn't really exist because Spain as a country is just several ancient kingdoms that have been united into what we know in modern world as a country. And I'm not going to say more than any country because Italy and France are similar, but more than most countries, it still retains this regional like differences when it comes to language, when it comes to culture, when it comes to food, when it
Yeah.
comes to geography, everything. And so for me, once you get beyond the basics of like good product and simplicity, once you get beyond those basics, for me, it's all about regionality when you talk about what is Spanish food.
Good save.
And not going to cause any fights, though the people the
No
grid
way.
centrists will fight back at the idea of it not totally being a country. Um, uh, I guess that said, I mean, their Spanish food is not just one thing that's true, but it has some sort of commonalities across across the country, whether that be sort of the heavy basis in seafood, or every region having some version of a stew, whether it's fabada asturiana or some potaje wherever, or cocido. Is there anything? I mean, what you say? For you define Spanish food as, say, opposed to French food or Italian food, or whether that be the food itself or the way it's experienced and lived?
Yeah, if you were comparing the two or the three, I guess I would say like Spanish food is definitely underrated. It's French food. The definition there is really for me defined by like the 20th century, 19th century of where it was like fine dining and like haute cuisine and lots of technique and just the building the constructs of what we know as like fine dining nowadays. That's France,
Yeah,
and you can't depart from that when you talk about French food.
and
Italian
butter,
food
oil.
is yeah, 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 that's true. But Italian food is similar, I think, to Spain in that there are so many regional differences and that a lot of it is very product based.
Hmm.
But I think Spanish food has as much to offer as Italy and France, but just like for whatever reason, they just aren't as good as, talking themselves up. Maybe it has something to do with like past immigration patterns as well as to who gets all the attention. I don't know. Let me just introduce you guys to my daughter. Lima, you don't want to be on the screen? Okay. Well,
Hey.
if you see a little hand touching my
It's,
shoulder, that's my daughter. So she's
yeah,
She's more than welcome to join and discuss food with us.
and discuss her favorite food.
what's your
Uh,
favorite dish that they feed you at school? She's thinking about it.
so,
Egg? Eggs. Huevo frito? Mm, okay, huevo frito.
I don't
There's
blame her.
A Spanish icon.
I I don't blame her. You mentioned something, Marty, that it's something that I've heard a lot, which is that Spanish food is sort of underrated, right? If you talk to someone that's been visiting the country, or someone who is thinking of coming to Spain but never has never been to Spain, there's this sort of belief that all we eat is paella and croquetas and tortilla de patatas, right? It's that's just kind of like the cliche of the Spanish food, but there is so much more. Um, that if you go to Galicia, if you go to Asturias, the food there is so different, and it's very seafood based. It's very different from what you would get in Castilla-La Mancha, for example. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that we have not been succeeded at exporting this sort of like Spanish culture, that we have great food that is right up there with French or Italian food?
Yeah, I think this is something I've thought a lot about and like wondered myself. And I just think there's a couple different factors. And I think one of the most important is just like the socio political 20th century that Spain went through and being under a dictatorship and being really, really poor and having that dictatorship sort of determine, what was going to be the strategy when it comes to taking Spain to the world. And that decision was, sun and sand and making it easy, dumbing it down, making it easy, making it cheap. That was the angle they took. And I think that that's been a big reason why there hasn't been this development of other
Yeah,
types of tourism until recently. And
yeah,
and yeah, and like I said before, I think there's also an element of just like where have people immigrated? I mean, I know that for Italian food, for example, that's like a pretty big reason to why it's had so much success in America is just because there were so many Italian immigrants in places like New York,
Right.
New Orleans, places,
Yeah.
all across the map.
There's little Italy. There's no little Spain.
Yeah, that just
Right.
didn't happen.
Do you guys think that that's changing now? Because I'm seeing that a lot of people, or like on television or YouTube channels about food, etc. People are sort of discovering the richness of Spanish food. Not just food, but also wines, for example, or the fact that we produce most of the olive oil that's coming out of Europe, and for some reason, people believe that it was in Italy. But I do think that there is this sort of uh, discovery that Spain is a lot more than croquetas.
Yeah, I think that's happening. I think it's happening. I think it tracks with the number of visitors that Spain is getting, which of course is like a stressful topic and has a lot of nuances about cost of living and how to live in Spain and how locals live and is a danger zone, it's like to what point what's the tipping point when a place becomes more of like a touristed version of it or a Disneyfied version of itself.
Right.
So I think that that's something that is changing, but on the positive end, I think there is like a person that is discovering and really interested in the high quality canned seafood conserves, the olive oil that's actually good, the incredible wines that come from Spain. It's like I always say, if sherry had been invented by the French, it would be the most expensive wine in the world. It's just like what we have here. I include myself now after 15 years, and after 15 years of consumption, like what I have experienced here is just it's so incredible, and it's just and people are interested. It's just it's building for sure. I think it's building and things are changing.
Absolutely. And all right, I'll give do have a prejudice and sort of love San Sebastian as a prime, as perhaps the prime food city in Spain. I'm willing to take the darts for that one.
Okay.
Last time I was there, I ate at I think it was La Cuchara de San Telmo, which I thought was fantastic. And there's obviously a bunch of places in this sort of old city that are great. But looking outside San Sebastian, which if you would advise people to go to say three cities, don't pick one. Where and why?
Um, I mean, I have like different set of answers for different like, thoughts and reasons, but I think if we were just talking like food, San Sebastian for me, and then thank you. San Sebastian for me, and then Sevilla for sure. I know that it's probably one of the more visited places, but food there is so good, and Andalusian cuisine in general, for me,
That's
is
true.
like has one of the most rich histories and varied dishes and just really delicious.
And for Adrian, they're very good with the fry later. So
Oh, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
that's also true.
They
Yes.
say that the Andalusian woman can fry the wind
Yes.
because they're so good at frying stuff. And then I guess you should include a capital, but like I don't really want to. So when I say capital, I mean Madrid or Barcelona. So yeah, if I had to include another place, I don't know, maybe I'm going with not necessarily a city, but a region. So maybe like Asturias. I'm just very partial to the North, I have to say, I love
Yeah.
Andalusia and I love the North probably the most. So that's definitely where I send people. But you know what? If I was really answering that for a very advanced traveler, I would send them probably to villages of like, 20, 25, 30,000 because like there's so many cool smaller towns in Spain to explore as well. And the
Yeah.
nature, it's just also is amazing.
What do you think is the biggest misconception that foreigners have when it comes to food in Spain?
I think the biggest misconception is that it's the first thing you said about it just being like a couple things. And through the lens of that, I think it's just the idea that in Spain, you're just eating the same thing no matter where you are. I think that's it. Because like even my own mom, I was like so like mad at her. I was like, you can't say it. She came to San Sebastian and she was like wanting to try paella, and I was just like, Mom, if you eat it here, it's gonna be from the freezer. It's not gonna
Yeah,
be
go to
homemade.
Valencia.
Yeah,
To the
we can
beach.
have some rice, but it's gonna have to be like arroz con almejas, like rice with clams or creamy
Arroz con
rice.
cosas.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna have to be something different
Did
because like, you just don't go anywhere in Spain and order, like, the same things.
did that happen to you? Did that happen to you when you moved to Spain? Did you come here and just suddenly said, "Oh my god, I had no idea that this country had this wide variety of styles when it comes to food."
Yeah, I never ceased to be surprised. I guess the way that I experienced Spain was kinda weird, like, I had never left the States, and then I ended up living in Spain for 6 months as my first, like,
Oh,
trip outside of the country, and it was in Pamplona, which is a very authentic, very just Pamplona it is
nice.
Pamplona, and so I think my, like, journey was a little different and also very focused on the North, but I had these and I still today have these moments of just, like, revelation where I'm like, "Oh my god, that's so crazy." You know, I just today put out a podcast about octopus, and even now after 15 years, I'm just, like, learning so much, you know? It's a dish that when you think about a seafood dish being emblematic of a place, you think about it being, like, close to the port and, like, the fresher the better. But in the case of octopus and its popularity and the serving it, like, boiled in the cauldrons, that's because they would dry it on the coast, send it inland, and it happened to be, like, on the way to people transporting olive oil and pimenton from the center to the boats, you know? And so that meeting on the way of these different ingredients actually means that octopus, pulpo, feira, or a la gallega, as we know it, is actually like an inland dish, which is just crazy. So,
Yeah, I was always amazed that about the predominance of puntillas or topitos in Extremadura. Like you would just get tons of miniature squid, fried squid in literally the middle of nowhere. Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
that's
and it benefits from it. You know, it benefited from well, the drying and the rehydrating. I actually don't know. I haven't tried it dried and rehydrated except in a nearby village here where they serve like soup from the dried octopus, and frankly, it's not very good. But you know, octopus benefits from freezing. You know, it actually makes it more
well,
tender.
that makes
So,
it chewable, right? I mean, if you eat it fresh, it's sort of dense like steel.
you know, can't have it because I'm on a call. Okay. My plan, I was joining this live, you guys, on my computer, and my plan for my babysitting was to let my child have my telephone, which she never gets, and so that plan was foiled by the Substack,
Hey, the more the merrier, that's what I say.
yeah.
Marty, did you ever have to go through through any, like, culture shock at all? We have things that you guys don't have in the States. Sobremesa, maybe just going on a lunch break and having a glass of wine or 5. Um, did this shock you at the beginning when you moved here, or did you just, like,
Yeah, oh my god, so
adapt right
much.
away?
So much, but I think, like, as opposed to maybe people that move to the States and have, like, a culture shock that maybe is worse than where they came from, for me, every culture shock was, like, a pleasure and an amazing thing to discover. It took me a long time, you know, to really understand that if I am going to lunch with my Spanish friends, I cannot make plans after, you know? Like, my instinct was always to, like, maximize my time and, like, okay, I'll go work after this or I'll go do this and this, and it, like, took me a while to really be like, "Okay, if it's a lunch, I should probably clear the calendar after." And not to just do it, but to, like, allow myself to do that without feeling guilty, you know? But I
Yeah.
think after 15 years, I've fully embraced, you know, we started our Substack live, 25 minutes late, and my child is here, and, you know, it's just rolling with
It's
it.
all good. Yeah, well, as we're all about starting miniature fights between regions and places. Do you what's the most overrated and underrated Spanish dish or dishes?
Most underrated? Well, this is a little bit personal. I don't know if I would say, like, universal answer, but for me, the chilled soups and just, like, the wide variety of chilled soups. So, like, you could even say gazpacho because I don't think that many people outside of Spain eat gazpacho regularly, but, like,
And
salmorejo
no one's heard of samorejo.
yeah,
Yes,
salmorejo for me is, like, one of my favorite foods, and
yes.
in the summer, I mean, it is my favorite thing to eat. And then you have like ajo blanco, and there's so many variations when you get down south of that as well. That it's just the chilled soups, yeah, is like a so I guess maybe it's because it's like really hot right now, and I'm like dreaming of
No,
chilled soups.
no,
It's
we in my house we go through at least a liter a day of some
it's
sort.
always interesting when people find out that salmorejo and gazpacho they are made from stale bread.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and people look at you weird. It's like, what do you mean we're gonna eat stale bread? It's like, nope, it's tomato soup with stale bread. Um, but yeah, and what is the overrated dish?
The most overrated? Well, I mean, it's hard not to say paella just because what is as overrated? Like, it's just everybody knows about it. But a good
Yeah,
paella is really good. So I think I guess you have to say paella. But you know what
yeah,
was really weird? I posted about croquetas based on an episode I did about croquetas. Croquetas have like a surprising number of haters. I thought nobody could.
What?
I thought nobody could
this
dislike a
is where
croqueta.
Adrian and I disagree because not a hater. I
Monsters!
don't see their genius.
How can you
Yeah.
hate croquetas? They just descended from heaven.
No, they're
No,
it's
monsters,
just
all of you.
no.
Yeah, I
I
couldn't
like them
believe
when they
it.
sort of
It was like a ton of people being like, "Cayos are gross," and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah, I
cayos
agree
can
with that.
Actually,
cayos
I've come
can be
around to
gross.
Cayos though.
They're good
Oreja,
if
but
they're good.
not that many people eat Oreja anymore.
Yeah,
If they're
pork
not good,
ears
they're
are
so
also
bad."
gross.
Yeah,
Yes.
but croquetas, I just couldn't believe, like, that was definitely the most answered, worst
Yeah,
dish.
I'm a bit with them. I don't like all right. And for a speed round question, what do you say when a waiter comes up to you and says, uh, Rioja Rivera?
Oh, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to answer that question. I have to I feel like a politician sometimes. Um, I will I will
They're
tell us
all good.
I will tell a
No.
story.
You can just say what brand of, you know.
I'll tell a story, which is that I did the Camino de Santiago in 2006 when I was freshly graduated from college before I got gainfully employed. And we did the thing walking from, the first day in France and then across the Camino Frances, the typical route. And I will say that we were on a major budget and every day we would order like the cheapest glass of wine you could after we finished walking. And one day I was like, "Oh my God, this wine is so good." And then the next day I was like, "Oh, this wine is so good." And the next day, and finally the third day, I was like, "Where are we? What is
Yeah.
happening?" And we were in Ribera del Duero.
Okay.
Ah.
Mommy.
Well, I was going to ask you what you consider was the best Spanish wine region, but I don't know if you
Well,
want to answer that
no,
question
that's
either.
okay. That's a little less like controversial, I feel like, because it's down to taste. But I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of sherry, and
Mm,
for me, Jerez,
it is.
if I could only drink one type of wine, it might be that for the rest of my life because it's so versatile. I think people don't have any idea of like what a manzanilla is like to drink, and then what a palo cortado is like to drink, and then if you want a sweet wine, that's a sherry too. And I love also just this. I'm a Southerner. I'm from Alabama, and so like places where the people are nice, the accents are crazy, and the food is good, and the weather is hot. That's like my sweet spot. So I just really feel like I could have been in Andalusia and been very happy.
I have one final question, and then I think we're gonna have to wrap up. But imagine that you are someone from abroad who just moved to Spain, doesn't matter where. You go to the supermarket, what is the first product that you think they had to buy?
Mm, okay. Well, I might give 2 answers.
Go for
One
it.
answer, one drink, and one food. I think I always tell people, I'm like, "You have a limited allotment of bottles that you get to take back to your country. Take vermouth." I am a huge
Mm,
fan of vermouth, fortified
agreed.
wine with spices, herbs, wormwood. I just love it so much. There's some great, in the last 10 or 15 years, artists and producers popping up all over Spain that are like leading with the grape, whereas vermouth used to be just the cheapest leftover wine that you could find. But now it's being made with like single varietal, like artisan wines. And Spain is the place of the world to get vermouth right now in 2026. And if you take it home, you can drink it on multiple occasions. It's not like you open it one night and it's gone forever. I don't know how long it will last you in your fridge, but it will last you if you choose to make it last. So definitely some vermouth is like what I always tell people. And then mm, I mean, I think as a product, Spain's best, most, just laudable product is jamón ibérico. I know that everybody knows this. I know this is not news for people, but again, it's like when I see people talking about prosciutto versus jamón, I'm like, have you ever tried jamón? It's like, because like there's no contest. And when you go, if you ever get the chance to go see it and see it made and see how it's literally like in this basement of this building with the windows open, hanging, and it stays there for 4 years. Yeah. And it's amazing and it's gorgeous and it doesn't need anything and it's healthy, and so and I guess if we want to like be like, duh, Marty, that's such an obvious answer. We can also talk about like lomo ibérico, which I think people don't actually know as much about. And
So
lomo,
good.
it's like the tenderloin of the pig that's been treated the same way. And so it's got this, it's just delicious. It's a little different flavor profile than the jamon, and I think it's even more livable. It's maybe not as pristine and venerated, but it's so good.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Great.
Marty, would you join us for part 2? Because I have like a million other questions for you,
I know,
and
it felt
unfortunately,
so
we
much
need to leave now.
short.
But
Let's do it again.
it's
We'll do a little cooking demonstration in the middle of it.
oh yes, let's do some free
In our kitchen.
samples. Yes.
No, Adrian will cook for us.
No, I will not. I don't even know how to cook. I don't know how to make a hot dog. You guys don't want to try my food. I'm just like,
He's the troublemaker.
I'm just terrible. I just eat.
All right.
I just like to eat.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
To the three of you.
Marty,
It's been a pleasure. Marty, it's been great to talk to you. We'll see each other hopefully in a few weeks when we do part 2.
Let's talk. Yeah, let's talk
Excellent.
again.
Sounds great. Let's
Okay.
do it soon.
Happy Wednesday, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Ciao,
Bye.
ciao.